Hey everyone, it's Strange Michael. I hope you're doing well today. I just talked about how I reviewed Volume 1 of Crueler Than Dead, a two-part manga series that I'm convinced got canceled, which hence will harm my review as I reviewed this second volume here called Crueler Than Dead Volume 2 out of 2. Anyway, cover looks cool. I was really excited for this. I was curious what it was going to be like. Of course, I'll tease the artwork a little bit. Looks really solid. Now, Volume 1, I talked about being very disappointed by Tsukasa Saimura's writing and Kozo Takahashi's artwork, even though I think the artwork was a lot better and kind of saved the book sometimes compared to the mostly dull writing, you know? I gotta be honest with you, I think Volume 2 is better than Volume 1, but you kind of have to read Volume 1 to understand Volume 2's events. The biggest thing for me is that this story is so different from that first volume. The first volume, as I said in my review, if you watched that video, was that one is more of a road trip movie. People wake up in a post-apocalyptic situation, they realize it's a girl named Maki, a kid named Shota. She's protecting him, she's kind of got some special forces training stuff. You have a little bit of super strength as a zombie, or a post-zombie, because they have a vaccine now that prevented these two from being zombies anymore. They're now healed, for the most part. And they had to travel to find this place called the Tokyo Dome, which was the goal of the first book. That entire first volume was trying to get there. And they had like a zero chapter that was like a prologue story. This second volume is entirely in the Tokyo Dome Refugee Civic Center camp, where that's a mouthful, basically, where they're in this camp to try to basically, trying to just live their lives and trying to help build society back up after the apocalypse that's been going on for like, I guess, a year or two now, and trying to spread the vaccine. And that was kind of interesting. I really enjoyed that. My biggest thing that I loved about this book, by the way, this book is about 20 or so pages longer than the first book. I think I said that in my first video's review as well. It just feels a little bit longer when you hold the two books in both hands. It just feels like it's a little bit thicker. So maybe like 20, 30 pages longer. But anyway, this second volume is mainly at that camp. We meet some of the people that live in that place. I like it a lot. We have some side characters from the first story that tagged along with our team into this book. That was kind of interesting too. And there's kind of an underground conspiracy at this Tokyo Dome, where maybe there's some people plotting against the government that have taken over this Tokyo Dome place and have basically made the Tokyo Dome its own country now. That stuff was fascinating. One of my biggest things that I loved about this book, over top of the first book, was that Mika, is it Maki or Mika? Maki, excuse me, M-A-K-I. Maki and Shota actually have way more personality, whatever. They have a lot more going on in their lives in this book, which they didn't have in the first book. The first book, they were so bland and so dull. The really only character thing that we had was that Shota had eaten his parents, whereas in this book, we have some of their answers to that. And there's also a mystery surrounding Maki that I thought was great. I thought it was super, super great, and I really wish we had done more with that or with Shota's story. And both storylines in here were so interesting in this second volume, but it feels like they're completely cut off by the time the story progresses. When this second manga book ends, it's such an unsatisfying ending. And even if we had continued, I wouldn't think that I would like where we were going with it anyway, because of just how deflated it felt. And this book is weird, because like I said, it starts off with so many good things immediately with the Tokyo Dome situation. That reminds me a lot of City of the Dead by Brian Keene, the sequel to his other book called The Rising, where they're basically stuck inside of a big tower in like a New York City, LA type of setting. They're in a skyscraper with zombies and the apocalypse and that kind of thing. If you haven't read City of the Dead, way better version of this. Easily. I think it's pre this too. But anyway, this feels a lot like Brian Keene's City of the Dead, but a lot more lackluster. And I'm really let down by that. When you have zombies here, they look pretty much good. When you have the violence and the gore and stuff, which is really lacking here because of the focus on the character stuff, which I kind of preferred this time around, when you do have the zombie violence, it looks good. It's drawn better than in the first book, in my opinion, most of the time. But it's not always there. Like I said, it's kind of lacking, kind of like how the first book lacks so much as well. The art typically looks good, like I said. It has a lot to offer more in this book than in the first one, but by the end of it, it's such a letdown that it just deflated. The whole story, the whole world, these two books, these two standalone by themselves books had to offer just deflates, because you really didn't get any answers you wanted, and to me, the ending of it's not satisfying, almost at all. Do I recommend buying these two books? Excuse me. No, I don't. I don't. I'm sorry, but I don't. Because it's $20 to have both of these books together. And that was too much of a letdown to spend that kind of money on, which I'm sad about, because I wanted something really good, and I wanted some manga to read recently, and I had some horror channel that I've been working on for a while now, so I thought, you know, I'll get something cool like this to review for you guys. But, no. No, don't do it. Don't do it. But this book's better than the first one, as I said. As much as I'm let down by it, it's better than Volume 1. But again, kind of in that weird, vicious circle, you have to read Volume 1 to understand Volume 2. Even though there wasn't a whole lot going on in the first one. It's kind of, I don't know, just kind of a letdown overall. I'm really bummed about it. Anyway, with that being said, Crueler Than Dead Volume 2 has some cool stuff, some cool action, some cool conspiracy theory stuff, some cool refugee camp stuff they did in here. I really dig that. But other than that, it's aight. It's better than the first book. You know, because the characters like Maki and Shota, even though I messed up Maki's name a little bit ago. If I had to rate this on a 5-star basis, I'd probably give it like a 3 out of 5. It's a little bit better than Part 2, or Part 1, excuse me, like I said, over and over again, but not by much. Not by much, but it's a better book, and I'll give it that. Overall, it's solid, I guess, but once again, disappointing. I wonder if I'll ever have a horror manga that I'll actually give a good review to. Or like any kind of like thing that's not just a 3 out of 5 or whatever. I don't really get that very often. Most of the things I talk about here on the channel are typically a 3 out of 5 rating for me and for my tastes. But, I don't know. I don't know. But there you have Volume 1, Volume 2 of Crueler Than Dead. Have you read these two books? What do you think about it? I'd love to hear your thoughts, your opinions, your reviews, your ratings, all of that down in the comment section down below. Let me know. Anyway, have you read manga? Are you a big fan of that? I'd love to hear all that down below too. It seems to me like the more interested stuff that I'm into are like, again, Dragon Ball Super, the kind of action-packed stuff, Naruto, One Punch Man, that kind of thing. I'm not really big into it. I'm actually watching Shippuden now, Naruto Shippuden, but I'm not the biggest manga obsessor, but I guess I'm slowly getting more and more into that over time because American entertainment sucks ass. But anyway, what do you think about all this stuff? I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments down below. Thank you all for watching. God bless you guys, and goodbye.